Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video I want to show you how to create a very simple CRUD application using ASP.NET Core 5, Vue.js and MongoDB. It's going to be an introductory video and we are not going to go through any very professional or complex stuff. CRUD applications are simple: create, read, update and delete operations are going to be created in this application. We are going to save the data in MongoDB database, which is different from databases like SQL Server. There is no need for using Entity Framework, and in the front-end area we are going to use Vue.js. It's also a very simple library for creating simple single-page applications, and we are not going to use any complex stuff in Vue.js either. We are just going to use it like jQuery and send Ajax calls from front end to back end, and everything is going to be very simple, just to help you understand what happens and how to do it yourself. And I hope this could be useful for you. So without further ado, let's begin and see how it goes. So let's begin by creating a new project. As for many of my projects, I like to use empty. Let's start with blank solution first, and go to demos. Let's call it my book app, and it's created. So let's add a new project, and we are going to create an empty project, empty ASP.NET Core application project, and let's call it Bookshop Web. And I pick empty. I'm going to uncheck configure for HTTPS. This is demo project, and I'm going to remove any noises, anything that might make some problems or anything, because when using HTTPS you get into some difficulties for testing your application or sending messages back and forth using things like Fiddler or other tools. It's just simpler or easier to use to create your developer application without HTTPS. Later you can always add, and of course for your real project you always need HTTPS in these days with GDPR and everything. But for now, let's just go ahead and create an empty application, and there's nothing else we are going to choose for now. Let's hit create and wait for things to happen. Okay, we have a new project. As you can see, I can go to edit project file and see it's .NET 5, which is the new version, and we are still in RC edition or RC release. So but it's not going to change much. They're probably just testing everything and bug fixing, but so for us there's no problem. Let's go ahead and create our index page, and I'm going to do that using add new folder, and I create page, and then let's add a new razor page, For some reason, my Razor page sends me an error. I couldn't find the problem. It might be because of my version or preview version of Visual Studio that I'm using. By the way, I'm using the community edition preview of Visual Studio, and it is preview 3. And so let's create it using new item. You don't have to use the Razor page, and you can always come here and select Razor page, and this is an empty index page, which is going to be our landing page. And let's go to a startup. In configure services, we need to add services for Razor page. Let's wait for Visual Studio to figure out what is going on here, and then so we are going to use services and add Razor pages, and let's go to use endpoints, remove this line and go to endpoints, map Razor pages, and that's it. Let's save everything and make sure we are not on iOS Express. I like Kestrel and self-hosting, so this is usually where I go. And let's just show a welcome page. Welcome to Bookshop. And let's try it and see if it's working. I'm using Chromium. I like it. It's simple and it gets the job done, but you can always use Edge or Chrome or any other browsers that you like. Firefox Developer Edition is a nice choice also, but for me it's always the Chromium. I like it. And let's see that we are now working, and this is the page source. It's not a standard HTML file, but it shows up in a good way anyway. So let's go back and add a layout and bootstrap to our project. I'm going to page and add new folder and call it shared. It's a special folder for shared resources or shared page in your project. I come in here and add a new item. Let's go to ASP.NET Core and choose Razor layout and add. So there is our layout. This is HTML5, and now if we add a view start, let's go to this part, new item, and select a view start file, which is something I have to search for it, Razor view start, and add. So this basically sets every Razor page that is in page folder to use this layout. So view start layout means index page should use this layout, and that's it. You can always set the layout inside your Razor page in here, put it in here and set the Razor page this way, but it's not practical if you are creating a bigger project. You have to go through it for every page, and that's just a lot of repetitive code. But using Vue Start is just easier, and it works for any page that is in the same folder or subfolders. So index, and so it's working right now. Let's start the project again. And this time, if we go to view page source, we are seeing that now we have HTML head, body, and everything in our code. And basically it's mixing this index CSHTML with this layout in the background and rendering it as a single HTML file. So now that we have this, let's use Git or resource control and create Git repository. For the time being, I'm going to use local only and create it locally, but in the future videos I'm going to upload it to my GitHub, so it could be available for you guys. And source controlling enables you to change code freely, and if you make any mistakes, you can always revert and go back, and you can have a history of your code. It's just easier to use Git, or safer to use Git in many ways, and you can manage your code much better, and we'll see how. So we have Git, and we haven't published it to any online services just yet. You can publish this project to GitHub or Azure DevOps or GitLab. There are other services too, but these three are the most popular ones. And that's it for our Git. So now let's add Bootstrap as our CSS styling. So to add Bootstrap, let's add a new folder and call it www.root, which is a special folder in ASP.NET Core projects, and you're going to put all your static files in here. And to use static files, let's use a client-side library management system in Visual Studio. Let's go to add client-side library. You don't see it in this video because there are just now you can see client-side library. It's a new tool in later versions of Visual Studio that you can install any client-side library easy using providers like CDN.js. It's much better than using Node or NuGet packages, and I find it very useful. Let's add Twitter, Bootstrap, and there is 4.5.2 version, and let's go ahead and use this one. The target location is here. I don't like this dash and Twitter part. I remove them all the time. And let's install. Then two things will happen. First, the libraries would be downloaded and added to www.root folder, and also you get a lib.man.json file, which is going to be used later to update or restore the package from internet. If you lose your www or you don't want to copy and paste it everywhere, when you pass this source code to your colleague or your friend, they can always come to this libman.json, right click and use this restore client-side libraries, and then any library that is written in here would be downloaded and installed in this wroot. As you can see, we have wroot in here. The problem with this is that it's better to use a subfolder for any libraries that we download directly from web. So let's add a lib and save it. As you can see, immediately Visual Studio figures it out and just copy and paste it to this lib folder like this. So any change that you make in here will appear in this part too. So let's add Bootstrap to our layout. Let's go to layout page and let me pin it here so I could use it easier. I come here and use Bootstrap, and styles always go in the head part, and JavaScript goes just before body ends, and that's how web works the best way. And so now if we start the project again, we expect to see some changes in styling, but it won't work just yet. Let's reload, and yeah, it worked. Welcome to Bookshop, and there's a different style in here. It's showing that we are using Bootstrap. Let's go to F12 and see what is happening. There's a bug here, there's a problem. This is because we also need to install and reference jQuery to use Bootstrap. Let's go ahead and do that. Add client-side library, and let's search for jQuery, and we are going to use the latest version, and it's going to be in lib jQuery. Everything is cool. So now let's add this to our layout, save everything, and run the project again. This time if we go to developer tools, there's no problem, there's no bugs, and everything just works. But it seems there's a problem now that we are using our page. I refreshed the page a couple of times. Seems like I had my files cached before, and now that I use hard refresh, which is Control F5, the cache was deleted. That's the problem I was talking about, because our project currently does not understand the static files and not loading them. You get 404 error every time you try to reach any resources. Let's hard refresh here too, so you can see the problem. Let's run this file again. Not working. That's because there's a middleware that you need to call to see the static files, and you can easily add that using app.use static files under configure method. So use static files is added. Let's save everything and run the project again. This time it works. Let's use F12 and refresh. Everything is working, and there's no problem. We are having our static files loaded in the background, and even if you disable the cache using this tick, everything works, and your styles is working, is loading in the background. So that's it. We created our empty project, added layout, index page, bootstrap, and jQuery, and fixed static file issue. Next, we would go on and use MongoDB.